So for those of you who don't follow the Fat Jewish on Instagram, you should. It's a very funny account. A few weeks ago, he posted this. What is the craziest thing you've ever done for money? Go to college. To state the obvious, college is incredibly expensive, and 70% of students need to take out loans to pay for it. 41 million Americans currently have student loans that are backed by the federal government. This adds up to a staggering $1.1 trillion, or roughly $27,000 a person. And this problem is getting worse quickly. So, how are borrowers dealing with their debt after college? As it turns out, not so well. 1 in 3 borrowers are at least 5 days late on their payments. And 7 million are in default. Here at SVA, 7% of the students that entered repayment in 2011 had defaulted by 2014. But this shouldn't be happening, thanks to the government. Unlike private loans, federal loans offer multiple payment options, including income-based plans, which means that if you can't afford the standard monthly amount, the government adjusts your payment according to your income. So, borrowers who make very little money could have a monthly payment of $0 until they're back on their feet. 0 people should be defaulting on their federal loans. But, as I said before, 7 million people are, because only 7% of borrowers are enrolled in these income-based payment plans. So why aren't more borrowers taking advantage of these repayment plans?
So the first reason is that many of them don't even know that these plans actually exist. And a quote from the Huffington Post, which came out recently, sums this up well, where they say that the White House has done a much better job actually talking about how Obama's increased access to this plan than the Department of Education has taken the time to tell borrowers that these plans actually exist. Thank you, government. The second is that many borrowers are completely confused and overwhelmed by the plan, so much so that they don't end up signing up for any of them. And this isn't really surprising when you look at how information on repayment is currently presented to them. As you can see, it's really heavy on text, it's heavy on financial jargon, it's really heavy. So we spent the past year working with borrowers and talking to them to figure out how we can better redesign the user experience for borrowers with student loans. And we came up with a bunch of different formats ranging from comics to creating a game called The Adventures of Sherlock Loans. But ultimately, we identified 3 key steps to successful repayment: knowing your options, choosing the right payment plan, and then sticking to the plan. And so we asked ourselves, how could we guide users through a process while keeping it simple, intuitive, flexible, fun? Well, let's be realistic. I don't think loans can be fun. So how can we keep it light?
Here's what we came up with. We designed OutLoan, a web app that simplifies repayment strategies for federal student loan borrowers. The first part of OutLoan makes it easy for borrowers to figure out their options for loan forgiveness without spending a ton of time digging through the fine print on studentloans.gov. When they get to the website, the process starts with an introduction, admitting how confusing this can be and putting our users at ease. Then we tell them exactly what to expect and how long it will take. The dots on the bottom give users a sense of where they are in the process. We've also been told repeatedly to keep things simple, so we've kept our design nice and clean. It starts with where you work. For me, that would be a nonprofit. That no is not a religious organization, and it's not affiliated with a political party. So in 3 easy steps, I know that I qualify for loan forgiveness. This seems simple, but only if you know what to look for. Each profession has equally obscure details, and some, like teachers and school employees, are even more complicated. This part of OutLoan gets users the information they need quickly and easily. And we know that it works. Many users have told us that this is super useful information that they had previously missed. So now that we know our options for loan forgiveness, we need a strategy. How might we help users understand their loan payments in the context of their lives?
So for this, we turn to the positive deviants in our system who are aggressive repayers that are in full control of their student loans. And many of these borrowers created these complicated Excel sheets with formulas and algorithms that basically model out different repayment strategies that help them figure out which plans would work best for them. But as many of us in the room know, not everyone likes spreadsheets or even knows how to build them. And so we asked, how might we visualize these spreadsheets to make them more accessible to everyone? Our answer was the Outloan dashboard, and it turned out to be much harder than we expected. But after months of trying and testing with users and designers and developers, we came up with a tool that allows borrowers to play with their budget, test out different repayment plans, and visualize how their present spending decisions can affect their loans in the long term. Since we're both into behavioral economics and understanding why people do the things they do, case in point, we accounted for behavioral biases like procrastination and relating the present to the future into the dashboard's design. So here are some of the features. As users move the sliders, they can see how their budget adjusts. They can also see what happens when they put more towards their loans or more money towards their savings. The sliders allow users to adjust their budget and see how their spending changes the timeline of the loan at the bottom, accounting for present bias, our tendency to weigh present concerns much heavily than future ones. The ability to transition between plans also allows users to see how their budget changes, how their loans are affected, and how much they'll pay, which is much more powerful than just simply telling a user about their repayment plans. So it's a simple concept of showing, not telling. We'd also rather avoid losses than acquire gains. So when users see how much extra interest they're accumulating by adjusting through different plans, they're more motivated to take action and prevent that from happening. And since we all budget in very different ways, users have the option to flip between daily, weekly, and monthly views. Finally, it's easier to save towards something specific, so users can customize their savings goals by clicking on this button, and then they're taken through a series of steps to select and track their savings. We also heard that it's useful to kind of prompt users to think about what they want to save for, so whether it's a trip to India over Christmas or just building an in case of an emergency fund, they can select what's best for them. But mainly, we wanted users to understand that it's possible to save even though you have student loans. It's really up to the users to figure out how they want to distribute their income and their budget, but it's the dashboard that enables them to play with different strategies and see what works best for them.
So with the help of a very talented developer, Alexandra Ackerman, we put an interactive version of this dashboard on our website a few weeks ago. And we've received a lot of positive feedback from users as well as schools. We know for sure that there's an enormous need for a service like this. So far, we've been able to test Outloan with over 40 people in one-on-one prototypes, many of whom have changed their plans. Even our thesis advisor, Jeff, realized that he was not paying his loans strategically. After spending just 10 minutes prototyping with us, he understood how to pay more and how to change his plan. He told us that this is going to save him a few $1,000s. We also led a workshop at NYU's Gallatin School of Individualized Study with a group of students who are about to enter repayment. And we've had around 500 visitors on outloan.org. But this is only a drop in a very large bucket. So how can we get more users? How can we get Outloan to scale? And how can we take it further to develop strategies that help borrowers stick to their plans? To figure this out, we've spoken with a lot of different stakeholders about a possible future for Outloan, gathering opinions from the education, lending, and banking industries. We also spoke to multiple government agencies and were thrilled by their reaction to our project. The design lead at US Digital Service told us that they're starting a new initiative to change the way they distribute information about student loans. They said that we were miles down the road to achieving exactly what they're trying to do. They also took our project to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, who said, and I quote, "Holy shit." This is really exciting for us because for Outloan to create maximum impact, it should be incorporated with the federal government's current services. That way, it will reach as many struggling borrowers as it possibly can. And although we're still exploring what's next, we're confident that at the very least, Outloan will inform the redesign of student lending services at a federal level, which is way more than we hoped for when we started this project. Please check out our prototype on outloan.org. Thank you.